proves that hell can be a condition of suffering. I don't see how we could pretend that verse. Oh, it's real quick. I have to say this. I asked, what's that cat? Faithful Servants of Christ. I asked him about Jonah chapter 2. And he said that Jonah was actually burning in hell in that chapter. Well, what's everyone think about that?
In Jonah 2:2?
When he was in the whale's body? I mean, swallowed by a big fish, or
Yes.
Right. Some people believe that's an actual fish.
Well, wait, it is a fish.
Body? I mean, swallowed by a big fish, or
Yes.
Right. Some people believe that's an actual fish.
Well, wait, it is a fish.
I mean,
I just said that to
but it says I don't know what some translations say. Yeah, I didn't really look into
wait a
this
second. Hold on a second. I have to ask a question. If you go to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 40, it says that Jonah was in the belly of a whale. So that proves that he wasn't in a fish. All right. Now I know that big fish are referred to as. Yeah, go to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 40. It says that Jonah was in the belly of a whale. Pull that up because
I will pull it up.
Mind of God. Okay. But while you're doing that, remember, mind of God, you agree that you teach that Jonah was in the belly of a UFO, right? Not an actual animal.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call somebody a Satanist if you believe it's literal. I don't believe that it's. I wouldn't. If somebody teaches something else, like a different topic, then I would say they're a Satanist. But that particular thing, I wouldn't. I can't say that. One second, I can't say that for sure. So they're a Satanist, but that particular thing, I wouldn't. I can't say that. One second, I can't say that for sure. So, but
give me the verse again, please. Jonah.
The language is always consistent with UFOs. They're usually referred to. Not usually, I would say. Sometimes they're referred to as like beasts and animals and stuff like that.
Matthew actually said.
I said the book of Matthew chapter 12 and verse 40.
12 verse 4. Okay, let me see here.
No, 40.
40. Okay. Oh, 40. Okay, let me see here. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. In the heart of the earth. And let's pull up the Greek word for the great fish, so that we know the exact definition. And we see the Greek word is ketos, and it's the definition here. It says a sea monster, a huge sea fish, and whale. So those are the main definitions, and so.
So that just proves you're clearly wrong, EDT. You're going off, my friend.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on.
Definitions and so.
So that just proves you're clearly wrong, EDT. You're going off, my friend.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on.
What is he saying?
But it said. Hold on. Let me interject. Let me just get this straight. So, mind of God saying this was a UFO. ETT saying it was actually a fish. But we need to discuss this because the verse we just read actually literally says that Jonah was in a real living fish. Mind of God, what do you think about that verse? You can read that yourself if you like.
Yeah, let me.
I mean, sea monster. It says, or like, how did you come up with a UFO? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
Well, it's the same as every time. Not every time, but UFOs are described as like beasts, and like that different language related to animals.
Where in the scriptures does it refer to a UFO as a beast before? And it could say that. I'm just asking so I can see.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I have to search for it.
That's interesting, actually. This topic,
And again, my standpoint is it was a real fish because the book says it is. And here's an interesting fact as well. Recently, there was a story that came out of this man. You guys might have seen this, but there was a story of a man. Yeah, who almost got swallowed by a whale, right? So that gives the authenticity to the story, right? So I'm just bringing this up because this is a good topic to speak about.
But only almost. He wasn't actually swallowed.
He wasn't, but he almost got.
Well,
almost doesn't count.
that doesn't count. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
But wait a second. Oh, hold on. LOP, so are you saying that Jonah wasn't swallowed by a real fish? Because the verse says it was.
No. I'm it's entirely possible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's stranger things have happened, right?
That's what I would say. Yeah, God could do it. But here's
Yeah.
the verse about the beast, gentlemen. Revelation 4, verse 6, and before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. So these UFOs will look like they have sort of these windows, all the way around it, right? And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had the face of a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within. And they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, holy, Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. Let me continue reading verse 9. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, that throne, this is actually what Tahar teaches, that's correct. That's a UFO. Okay, when Christ talks about sitting on the seat of judgment, he's sitting in a UFO who liveth forever and ever. So
let me just chime in real quick. Notice it says that these beasts, they gave glory to the Most High, right? These beasts would talk, right? So my question is, how is this talking about UFOs? My understanding of this is speaking about the angels, right? And if you go to, what is that, Ezekiel? Yeah, hold on. Hold on a second. The angels and the UFOs are 2 different things. The angels are in the UFOs, and that's in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter, and Ezekiel, the 10th chapter, right? So I wouldn't say this, that proves that the beast can be UFOs.
So you're expecting an actual flying vehicle to speak? Are you kidding me? What do you mean?
Wait a second. But hold on a second.
Not on the throne. What do you mean?
But you're using this to say that UFOs are the beast, though.
Yeah.
But wait a second. But you just said that UFOs can't speak.
I know. So there has to be angels inside that are doing that. Listen, let me read verse 9. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne. So when you're saying gave glory and thanks and honor to him that sat on the throne, okay, that throne, you don't believe there's an actual throne in heaven, right? Or something like that. Like what do you think that is, I guess? And let me ask you first. Revelation 4, verse 9, and thanks to him that sat on the throne. He's in his own UFO, Christ. I'm assuming he's the biggest one.
That's okay. Right. I can understand how you would say that could be a UFO. That I could leave that open to possibility.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I would respond similarly, probably the way LOP just said. It's not impossible for God to do that.
Okay, and you know what? Let's say this. Let's say this. I'll give you this. I don't agree that the UFOs are referred to as beasts, but let's just go with that for a second. Let's roll with that. Now, if that's true, right? Let's say that. But what does that have to do with the animal that Jonah was in? Because does it say it was a beast? It says it was a literal whale.
Yeah, but in verse 7 it said lion, calf, face of a man, and flying eagle. So.
But that's not dealing with Jonah, though.
I'm saying 1-to-1 in verse 7. It's using language of animals, and not even actually an animal. It even said one is a face of a man, and so it's using animals to describe a UFO. So
but that's referring to the angels, though. That's not talking about the UFOs.
We just went over this, man. And the first beast was like a lion. That beast is the actual structure that the angels are sitting in. We just went over this like a minute ago. We just went over this, man. And the first beast was like a lion. That beast is the actual structure that the angels are sitting in. We just went over this like a minute ago.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Can you go to Ezekiel, the 1st chapter, for me?
But do you understand my point? I know you disagreeing, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand the point you're getting at, but from what I understand, is the beasts are referring to the angels, not the UFOs, and it goes into detail in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. It describes.
You could read the Ezekiel.
Go ahead.
We could read the Ezekiel if for the description, so that we familiarize with ourselves with it again.
Described as a lion and a calf and a face of a man and an eagle. What are you talking about?
And a bull, I think. No, isn't there a white bull also mentioned in there?
I don't know, but
Well, this is
what are you talking about, dude? What do you mean? You think the angel in verse 7 is being described as a lion, a calf, has a face of a man, and the other one a flying eagle?
But this, hold on a second. But this isn't literal though. This is it's metaphorical.
No, but
this
I'm
isn't what they literally look like.
Why would they not just say angel? Why are they describing the angel as a lion? What does that mean?
Well, I would say,
hold
on.
What does that mean?
I would say they're describing their characteristics. Is what I would say. It's a parable. Let me give an example. Just like how we know about the beast, how it describes, right, a woman sitting on top of a beast. Does that mean there's actually a literal beast that has 7 heads with a woman sitting on top of it? Of course not. But it's a parable, right? It's not literal. That's why this is difficult to understand. You understand my standpoint?
That example you just used has nothing to do with characteristics. That's a visual to describe power structures and the number of the structures. So it's not the way they are. It's a visual of the number of power structures. So you're using an example that's not equivalent to why you're applying that like this. I don't know why'd you bring that example up. That has nothing to do with characteristics. That's strictly just like 7 heads and something. They're all the same. These ones are unique: lion, calf, man, and eagle. So why did you bring up that example?
Well, this is not literal. They don't literally look like this. It's metaphorical for certain of their attributes, right? Certain of their, may I say, abilities, right? What's certain.
Okay, but I don't understand what that had to do with the example you brought up.
Hold on, it speaks about this in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. Have you ever read that chapter?
Dude, what do you mean have I ever read that chapter?
I was just gonna say let's read it then to familiarize. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's read that so that
for the sake of my point,
first example of.
For the sake of my point, I have an example of what I believe. You don't have to believe this, anybody. I believe that a so-called UFO is being described as an animal, and I reference Revelation 4. Okay, so now we can move on to Ezekiel 1. Which part of this do you want me to read?
Let's see. I wouldn't know the verse off.
I got it.
I got it. We can start it.
Yeah, I got it actually.
At the beginning.
Ezekiel 1:4, and look, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud. So now we do have a sense of what these are, and a fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as of the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Verse 5, and also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under the wings on their 4 sides, and their 4 sides had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined to one another. They turned not when they went, and they went every one straight forward.
Oh, see, it said each of them had 4 faces.
Yeah, let me actually read it. Dude, this is perfect. This is exactly what we should have read. And as for the likeness of their faces, they had the face of a man and the face of a lion, and on the right side and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. So it's not a real person, man. What are you talking about?
Wait, hold on. I'm using this to show that this is talking about the angels here. This is the exact same thing that we read in Revelation. So see, it's giving a distinction between the. Hold on, brother. Let me speak.
Yeah.
It told you about the UFO, but then it said that in the UFO there's these living creatures, and then it goes on to describe the living creatures. I mean, it's very clear that's what it's talking about. It described the UFO, but then it turned into describing the creatures that came out of it. And you can go back up and read it. It starts describing these creatures, right? So you see the distinction that we're reading about. Mentioned they all had these faces, just like we read in Revelation, right? So I mean, as I said, this is why I said to go here, because it clearly shows that the beast are referring to these angels. Go ahead.
No, it's talking about living creatures, no doubt, within them, without a doubt. If you read down, it talks about the appearance of the wheels, and the work was unto the color of a beryl, and they had 4, and they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was a wheel within a wheel. So they're talking about the structure, right? And no doubt down when they say, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went with them. So yeah, they were talking about some spirit inside of it, without a doubt. But that whole time they're describing the structure that they're sitting in.
Wait. Can you go back up and start at the verse you started at? Let's read it over again.
Yeah.
Let's read this over again real quick.
Verse 4.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud. So I don't understand why. Do you believe that cloud is an angel?
No, that cloud's a UFO. You don't understand the point I'm saying. It's describing first the UFO, but then I was read on. It says that in the UFOs there was 4 living creatures, and then it goes on to describe the appearance of these literal creatures, right? And you'll see that as we read on.
No, that's the difference, dude. It talks about.
But let's read on.
Okay. Well, I just want to know what verse you're saying the creatures are described as the.
I don't have it. I don't have it in front of me, but we're gonna see it as we read on because it's coming in the verses that are approaching us as we read on. I'll tell you when to stop when you go.
So just so you know, the first reference of the living creatures is in verse 13. So from 4 to 13, there's no reference to living creatures. It's strictly just.
All right. Well, let's start at verse. Let's start at verse 4 and let's read down.
Okay. So, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. And out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man.
See?
Out of the midst of the fire. And out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. And out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man.
See? Now it's going into the appearance of these living creatures.
Okay.
That are within.
Out of the midst thereof, and so within, like in the middle, I guess. Out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures.
And what is that talking about? That's talking about the angels, which are within.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, so you see,
riding in these clouds. Yeah.
Right, but you LOP, do you get the point I'm trying to make?
Yes, but Jay is distracting me in the private chat with some nonsense.
Hey, Jay, man, Jay, please don't do that in the chat. Do you want to add anything to this discussion here?
He's talking about PlayStation and some Talos. But anyways, yeah.
I still don't see the point. I mean,
I'm
there's
not really into
entities inside of these structures.
Right.
And so here's the difference. You probably believe verse 10, which says, as of the likeness of their faces, they had the face of a man, the face of a lion. You still believe that's talking about the entities inside. Right?
Yeah, that's talking about.
Let's just agree to disagree. I don't, and whatever.
Okay, all right, that's fine, but you see the point I'm getting at. You're trying to say that the beasts represent the UFOs, but what I'm trying to point out is that when it goes into the description, it's talking about the creatures, the angels that dwell within these UFOs. And again, we can agree.
Yeah.
Okay, we can agree to disagree, but I mean it's very clear when we read it. But we'll let the audience decide. That's fine. But going back to what we were talking about Jonah.
One second, ETT, just something to consider. Just something to consider. Yep. Okay. So here's the deal. In verse 10, it says, "As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man." And then if you read verse 13, it says, "As for the likeness of the living creatures." So why does it say that in 2 different places if it's talking about the same thing? If you believe verse 10 says, "As for the likeness of their faces," you believe that's still talking about the living creatures, right?
Yes.
Okay. So but why does it say that? Why doesn't it say, "As for the likeness of the living creatures, they had the face of a man, they had the face of a lion, they had the face"? Why didn't it say that?
Well, because it's going back to describe the creatures again. It left off from it, but then it goes back to speaking about them. Okay, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, well, hey, look, we'll agree to disagree on that, but I think it's clear. LOP, you want to add anything to this discussion here?
No, I wanted to compare with, for example, in Elijah is described, but you believe that it's the same thing as in Ezekiel, like as far as the when he was taken by the whirlwind in the chariots, chariots of fire. So, do you think that is describing the same thing as in Ezekiel, chapter 1, and or is that a different thing? What do you guys think?
I mean, we'd have to go back and read it. We would have to go back and read it again because
I remember. I mean, like I remember the gist of it. Like he was, he was taken by a whirlwind to heaven. You know.
Well, yeah, whirlwind is a UFO.
Yeah. So it's just, so basically it's the same thing as Ezekiel described there in chapter 1. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it was different because it was before, and he was the first one actually to be taken, because in terms of Enoch, it was just, it wasn't it wasn't described like he was in Genesis. It just says even Enoch was not, because God hath taken him. So in that sense, we cannot say if Enoch, how he was taken. You know what I mean? Like just by reading Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I don't think all of the UFOs look the same, but here in Ezekiel, they're definitely describing a quote UFO has these kind of like windows. I don't know how to describe them on the side, and then it even says here, and I saw the color of amber as the appearance of fire round about within it, and the appearance of his loins upward, and the form, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about, and as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So it's describing an arch in the middle, and so that's where they sit, I guess, to drive in these vehicles. So it's describing a quote standard UFO, but I'm assuming they can all look different, many different styles. So
yeah, and proof of that is these UFO sightings that are happening all over the world. The vast majority of the sightings, these crafts, they look different. Right, sometimes they look the same, but other times they can look different from each other. So I suppose, as I said, we can agree to disagree on that. That's cool. But going back to what we were speaking about, with Jonah, right? I'm interested because again, the text literally says a whale, right? An animal, right? A fish. So you're saying that it's not a literal fish, though?
I don't have a precept to prove that. It's just my intuition. So that's not. Yeah, that would be.
All right.
That's strictly, I would say, at this point, using these verses in Ezekiel. So it's. I don't have a precept or many of them.
Okay.
So
that's cool. I'll go with that.
I would think it would be more amazing if it was an animal. Not that God cannot do this, but that would be actually even more incredible if it was an actual animal. So, I mean, that's amazing.
Right. Now, as far as let's
I wanted to
going back to
ask.
Go ahead.
Can I ask? Yeah. So I want to ask. So, what do you guys think that when, because we just read from Matthew chapter 10 that Christ was at